of our trustees to you this evening, who are the ones that are responsible for interviewing and getting to know our panelists. And they're also the ones that have been most involved with getting all of the information in the Art Center ready with Julie for you guys to enjoy. One person I forgot to thank earlier this evening was the Arts Council. That's their building over there, and they've let us use it. So thank you to the Huntingdon County Arts Council. So, to my right, all the way over, we have Lawrence Beimiller. He is one of our board members. And we have Colby Grubb, who is a recent Juniata College grad. I think we need to give him some congratulations. And Lawrence and Colby are going to be our moderators for the discussions that we are going to have with our panelists. I'm going to allow them to introduce the panelists to you. And after our panelists have had an opportunity to speak, I'm going to take this microphone and I'm going to go back in the back, and if you have anything you want to add or share or say or ask, once we finish, raise your hand. I'll bring the microphone to you and you can share what you would like to share with everybody here. So without further ado, Lawrence and Colby, have at it.
As Maria said, my name is Colby Grubb. Thank you everyone for coming out here to the Huntingdon County Historical Society's fundraiser. We put together this panel. This panel has been together before. They know each other out at the Visitor Center. They had a talk out there, kind of a similar range of what we're going to do today. But the first person I'm going to introduce to you is the fellow sitting right in the middle. This is Claire Grove. Claire, could you wave? Yeah. Claire Grove is a dear friend of mine, and his wife Carol is back here too. Carol, could you wave too? Yeah. They both, me being young and being interested in history, they've taken me in and just, I go in, drink coffee, and just, we talk for hours. And Claire and I, he knew my relatives from years back that I would never ever have known. Life before the lake, and just even in Huntingdon County in general, it's a different perspective, more than what my 21st century eyes are used to. So it's quite interesting and eye-opening. I love going down to visit with them. So this is Claire Grove, one of our panelists tonight, and he'll be giving the perspective of before the lake came in 1970, early 70s. So he'll be giving that perspective of life before and like the construction and how that affected his family. So.
Next up will be Bob Klublitz, who is sitting closest to us on the end. He was the executive director of Huntington Business and Industry starting, I believe, in late 1973, so right before the dedication of the dam. And it fell to him to organize Vice President Gerald Ford's visit to Huntington County among everything else that was going on here at the time. And then all the way over on the far end of the table there is Jude Harrington, who is the current operations manager for the Army Corps of Engineers at the lake. So this is two other perspectives, sort of the very beginning of the lake and the lake today. So we're going to try to have some time left over at the end for you all to ask questions. Colby, having just graduated, having learned how to be a school teacher, is going to try to keep this panel under control. Y'all will be able to judge how he does and how you think he will do with high school students. All right, so here we go. You're up first. All right.
So we're going to go like in a chronological order. Claire, like I said, is the early period. Bob kind of represents the middle, the time when the lake came in, when construction was completed with Gerald Ford and the dedication. And Jude represents the modern day and what's happening today in the future. So if you kind of can visualize what I mean, the three different time periods that we have represented. So knowing Claire, I will ask Claire some questions. So, Claire, when did you first hear about the lake coming in? Like, what was it through the newspaper? Was it through word of mouth? What were like the first signs that you knew that this new lake was about to come about?
I think it was about 1964, and it was the headlines in the newspaper. It said the new dam being planned and so forth. My father says, oh, gee whiz, and here they go again. He says they've been doing this for the last 50 years. And anyhow, this time it worked.
So, like, when did you realize that, like, this is real? Like, my family's farm, like your parents' farm, everything you knew around you. When was it first, like, real? Oh, they're going to take everything, and this is actually going to happen. So, when did that come about?
Well, the first meetings that we had, they said that they were going to take 300 feet beyond the high water mark. That would have given me enough land to keep on with my sugar camp and my dairy farm and also the sawmill business. And that occurred about 67. And anyhow, then there was more meetings, one after the other. And finally, they said they were going to try to take everything between the top of Terrace Mountain and the top of Tussey Mountain. And they wanted to control all the water that came into the Racetown. And the Racetown drains about 900 square miles. And I didn't figure that was going to work, but that was the farmer's perspective.
So, like, when you first found out it was real, you told me that there was some political, like, Wally, Schuster, you went down to Washington. Can you describe, like, a little bit with that? Like, what happened there?
Yeah, there was a bus load, went down to Washington to meet with Wally. Now, Schuster, as far as that's concerned, Schuster was, he was a farmer like I was, and as a result, why, he and I were pretty close. But Wally was from Johnstown, and I didn't really know him that good. But anyhow, we went down with a bus trip, and it was full of farmers and landowners and what have you. And anyhow, we didn't get anywhere as far as that's concerned. It was a wasted trip. However, we went anyhow. Dan Morningstar planned it, got the bus and what have you. But anyhow, it didn't help me.
So, where were the first properties torn down? You've told me it's down along the river. So, when that started to go about, how long did it take for them to, like, start coming more closer out from the lake? Like they said, 300 feet. So that would mean the cottage properties along the lake.
The people from Huntingdon and all around, they would buy these little buses and little shacks and what have you, and down over the side of the bank, about 25 feet, why they'd have these little buses and what have you. And all the farmers would sell them that little square, and of course they could go out further line in the river and what have you. And anyhow, they paid about $25 for them. And the Corps come along and offered them $100. Well, hot diggity dollars. It was the money, you know. And when we went down to talk to Wally, the Corps was there, and they said, well, Mr. Wally, we've already bought 300 properties. They didn't tell them it cost us $100 a piece. But anyhow, that was a big deal with Wally. Oh, well, we've already started, so, you know, anyhow, that was the way it worked. And he said, okay, he said, that's the way it was.
So when they tore these places down, they contracted, the US government contracted to a company I can't remember offhand, but the fella that everyone remembers was Big Ed.
Big Ed.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about Big Ed, Claire, and the relationship he had with the people in
Well,
the area?
the company was a green construction company from Iowa. And they're the ones that had bulldozers and all that kind of business. But Big Ed, he was the guy that would tear your house down and everything. And Big Ed was from out in Indiana County. He's a junk dealer out there. But anyhow, he hired fellas. We called them the firebugs. And when you moved out of a house, what they would do was go up in the attic and walk down the steps with a 5-gallon bucket of diesel fuel into the cellar, knock the windows out of the top, throw the match in it, and it was a conflagration and nothing flat. Some of those old log houses were built out of yellow pine. Boy, they just, well, they go up like a torch. That's all there was to it. And every now and then, somebody would have a specific house. For instance, the Intrican Mansion. The Intrican Mansion was up at Intrican, the bottom of Coffee Run, and it had marble steps and marble window sills, and it was really nice inside. Everything, the stairwell and all that kind of banisters was just something that you just didn't see every day. Well, anyhow, to make a long story short about that, people come in and they wanted to buy that. So he said, all right, I'll sell it to you, I'll sell it to you. The house for, I'll say, $500. And you can have it. And then somebody else had come, unbeknownst to the first one. Yeah, I'll sell it to you for $500. And then the third person may come, no, yeah, I'll sell it to you for $500. I saw that happen time and again. And anyhow, they might be in there working and Big Ed would come by with the D6 and push her down. And it's just too darn bad. You just lost your $500 if you didn't get it all out of it. Wow. So that was some of the things Big Ed did. He was a scoundrel.
So,
We'll have these things.
so one of the buildings that was spared from the demolition of the lake was the old Junior College field station. And if you folks don't know that, that's where Claire was born and raised, called the Grove Farm. And so tell me, correct me if I'm wrong, Claire, your parents lived there, and then your brother bought it? Is that how that went?
Yeah. My grandparents owned it first. They was married in 1878. And they went to housekeeping there. And anyhow, then it come down to my mother, which was the youngest daughter. And we was living there when the lake come in. It's a half mile from the water, as far as that's concerned. and it's still standing because of Juliana College. And I don't mind telling you, they treat me like a king. They give me a key to the place, and all the locks, I can go in there anytime I want. And it does give you you know, it's nice to go back to your roots, and that's the way it is. It's grown up though, boy, I tell you what, places I plowed's got trees in them like that.
So that was the place you grew up in. So, and when you came back from the Air Force, you bought a farm, what is about, not even a quarter, eighth of a mile down the road.
Yeah.
That's all underwater now. So when, can you tell us about when the government finally, it was your turn, your place's turn to be torn down? Can you describe that time and the feelings you had?
Yeah, it was 1972. We were still milking cows as far as that's concerned. And we made our last batch of sugar and syrup on that farm in 1972. But from there on, it was Big Ed bought the farm, and when they buy the farm, what they do is it's eminent domain. So all of a sudden you only have the clothes on your back because the clearing contractor, he owns everything that you have in your house, outside. And anyhow, that was a rough time as far as that's concerned, because you go try to buy another farm someplace, and you don't have any money. I mean, why would the bank lend you money when you don't own it? You own nothing. And anyhow, that's what we run into as far as that's concerned. And I have to say that I got a call one day from a friend of mine, and he said, you know, Ross Huntsman wants to sell his farm. I said, no, I didn't know that. Well, he says, he upset his tractor. He's having trouble getting around. His boys are not too good, so he said he's going to sell it. So I went down to see Ross. And I took my wife along. She looked at the house, and I looked at the land. There were sugar trees out there, that big, never had a hole for it. And I'm going to tell you what, boy, this old boy got all excited. But anyhow, I told Ross, I said, Ross, I'll have to see if I can get the money. I says, I have nothing. I don't have any. And I said, I'll have to see what I can do about getting the money. He says, well, Claire Grove, he says, your word's good. He says, I'll tell you what I'll do. He says, I'll take your mortgage. Well, that's a pretty good deal when you owe a man $96,000. Anyhow, I said, well now, I gotta have proof that I bought the place. And I says, that requires a cash down payment. And I gotta have a letter to the court that says I did it. His wife says, how much do you have in your pocket? I said, $10. She said, give me the $10. She wrote a letter out, said, Claire Grove made a cash deposit on her farm. So anyhow, now we didn't just quite those 96,000. But anyhow, you know, that's what goes on in this community. It's not beyond thinking about it, because this community always comes when you need help. That's it.
So you had Ross Huntsman carry a mortgage for you, and so you moved up there. What year was that?
19, March, is it March, Carol? Oh, we moved in April of 73. And they had a place in Saxton to go, and the cows that they had, we had to have TB tested. You have to have your cows TB tested if you're going to move them off the land. And that takes, at the speediest, at the quickest you can get that done is 2 months. Anyhow, I said to him, I says, how much do you want for your cattle? Well, he sold me the herd. So we didn't have to move them. And my cows, I sold them for beef. That's what it amounted to. And anyhow, those are some of the things you run into. You think you're going to do something fast and it don't happen. But anyhow, they in 2 weeks, they made sale and we moved in. And the Corps then gave us time to move whatever we wanted to. And so we moved. I took the barn floor off of my old barn, put it on the barn down there, give me a 2-barn floor barn, and just things like that. And, but everything worked out. Everything worked out.
So then, last time you seen your house, I remember you told me the tragic time when they finally torched it. But so now here you are. You're 91. You're 91, and you've seen a lot within 91 years. I've heard a lot of, not all, but a lot of your stories. So, looking back now, Claire, was it all worth it? Have you made peace with the lake? Like, what is your opinion of it now?
Well, when I bought that old place over home, I intended to die there. That didn't work out. So anyhow, I don't know, maybe when I go to a visit, maybe I will. But anyhow, that's up to the good Lord, not me. But anyhow, what do I think of the lake? As a farmer, would I put the lake there for flood control? Absolutely not. Why would anybody build a flood control dam between 2 mountains? In the 72 flood, I put a stick out in my field and had it marked. 72 flood, come up 1 foot an hour. In 1936, I remember quite well, the flood, as far as the flood was concerned, it didn't come up that high. But the dam was there. That's how come it come up. And anyhow, as an old farmer, I'd have made a lot more people mad at me because I'd put the sucker up there where the power dam is in Petersburg. It would have had all kinds of room to go out. No doubt, here's Davis. He says, boy, am I glad you wasn't president. But anyhow, that's, you think the way you think because you're a farmer. And I don't mean to say that farmers are any smarter than anybody else, But when things go bad, if you can't find somebody to make you something, you make it yourself. That's the way it is. My wife and I built our house that we live in right now, Montauk Construction Company. It might not be fancy, but by golly, it's warm. So, what do I think of the lake? I think it's great. There's only one thing that I got against it. People are slobs. And people from the city, not all of them, no, but they think that field out there is a good place to throw their aluminum can, what have you. And just the other day, I was going up to Martinsburg, and my neighbor was out there picking cans out of the field. Now, I know why he was doing that, because he was going to combine his barley. Now, you run an aluminum can through any kind of a machine that cuts it, and a cow eats it. That cow's a dead cow. That's all there is to it, because it'll cut it in shards, and when a cow gets up, the stomachs go forward and push the can right in.